And they made this decision, I guess, at 3 o'clock in the morning last night after I released a video exposing Anonymous. Now, I need people to bear in mind here, okay? If the occupations are owned and controlled from the start, and that's what we're hearing increasingly. More and more evidence is coming out that they've been running this show from the start. Who announced Wall Street expect us September 17th? That was Anonymous.
Right.
Yeah, so Anonymous is behind this.
Yeah, definitely.
The whole thing. We also talked about on my group. Of course, you know. Now, listen to this. I got an email. Had to be last week, or no, had to be a couple weeks before, right before the Occupy thing happening, from MoveOn.org telling me about it. So right there it shows that MoveOn.org has been pushing this, as well as all the other Soros groups, Acorn, AFL, CIO, you know, all these other groups. So I mean, and Adbusters magazine. Now, you know what really got me was at first when I heard about this. The Occupy Wall Street, the website had the European date. It was it had the date after the month, after the day. You know, like they write in Europe, like 9/11 would be 11/9 there, and that's how they had it. Now, wouldn't something in America or even Canada be, you know, written the correct way? I remember posting it at the time. You know, this whole thing has been set up by somebody in there's a good article you can read on it by Henry McCall, and he puts a lot of these groups together. I did see your video, though, Harry. I really impressed you put the dots together. This is definitely controlled opposition, whether it was from the start or whether it was something that's been going on. They're trying to bring, you know, they're bringing this under their tent now.
Right, and this is not all just me now. I just put in the Skype chat here an ad from Craigslist that I screenshot, but somebody sent me a link and said, look, they're paying people to be on Occupy Wall Street. So about 3 days ago, I screenshotted this. You guys can download this and show it to people, but they're paying, let me check here, I think it says $350 to $650 a week, depending on responsibility. So they're being paid to stand there and control the conversation.
Right.
And that's working families.
You know what, Harry? I'm going to New York this weekend. I think, I don't know, I wish I had more capabilities to print out signs and print out flyers. But even if we can get that, you know, and just print it out on a regular thing and blow it up and pass it out to people. Hey, this is what's going on. You know, we gotta pull these people out and expose them. You know,
right.
I'm just worried about while I'm there about getting caught up in some type of provocateur does something near me, and then that, you know.
Well, not only that, I suspect they may not. I suspect they may not go with classical provocateur activity because we caught on and it's too obvious. Right. I think they may hit the Tea Party against the Occupy Wall Street people because they know it's going to break out, you know, automatically. Once they get 500 Tea Party people there, it's just automatically going to happen.
Right. No, you're 100% right. In your video, you showed that, you know, young wise-ass kid going around. He was doing the, you know, and he was provoking them. You know, he said, wait until that's, you know, 500 of them show up, and they will. You know, wait until Sean Hannity or Glenn Beck calls for it and sets up a bus trip. You know, they'll be there, and that's what they want. They don't want us all uniting with each other to take on our common enemy. They want us to, you know.
No way, they divide us, yes. Divide and conquer. It's, you know, it's a classic, you know, Hegelian dialectic. That's what they're doing, you know.
Well, yeah, and so prevalent in the truth.
It's so obvious.
Because, I mean, you can spot, you know, I could spot actually disinfo agents just by looking at some of their posts and what they're writing in groups. You know, and I'm very worried. That's why I don't accept friends requests anymore, of how many are on my friends list that are actually not real truth seekers,
right?
But who are part of these people that are recording our websites.
It's a very good point, Chris.
Anybody that requests me with a Guy Fawkes and a weirdo name isn't getting requested, isn't getting taken anymore, because I don't know. I notice they never pop up really. You know, I don't know. I just don't. I don't like the whole idea of secrecy. You know, that's what our enemies use. You know, why can't? You know, I mean, the fact of hiding behind a mask and everything, you know, no, I'm going to go to a protest. I'm going to go out and I'm going to show my face.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a very good point. Like, that's the difference between what happened in Canada. You know, like, that was the thing. I mean, with the G20, when everything went wild and all the violence, these people were covering their faces and doing violence, which, again, you know, that's part of the problem. Obviously controlled opposition in many cases, you know, look at all this stuff going on. You know, they want to provoke it. They want to say, look at these crazy people. You know, so violence doesn't serve the movement, obviously, at all. Generally, violence is going to be, if you're aware, you see the people are not aware of this. Oh no, these people are radicals. You don't understand. It's like radical Muslims who took the box cutters and, you know, crashed planes into buildings.
Yeah,
it's like the same bullshit.
They're going to push us to violence, Howard. That's the thing. They're going to push us to violence. I mean, that's the only way I see us actually ever toppling the New World Order.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, you can't.
Let me ask you guys something though. I'm beginning to look back at it, and I wonder. We know stuff is being staged down there. Now, I don't think those women even got maced that day. I'm beginning to, you know, they make up the stories. Those could have been a few people they busted and sprayed them with you know, the stuff there was picking up their face.
Well, being skeptical,
I don't know.
Being skeptical
it could be, Justin, because you know what? There was never a video from afterwards. There was never a boyfriend or a husband or a father saying, "Yeah, I can't believe they maced my girl,
my
like
daughter."
That.
Or hey, very good point, Harry. Yeah, that's right.
Now, look, this whole thing with Anonymous, bottom line, they're over there in these foreign nations trying to figure out how to deceive and psychologically manipulate these foreigners, and they're taking notes, and they're like, okay, every time it worked because we had a particularly good, you know, actor, and that's what they are as actors, and when it didn't work, it's because they identified the person as an American, or they identified, you know, it had to do with the identity, and so they said, how are we going to deceive people the best? And they said, no identity. And there's Anonymous.
Makes good, very good sense. Great brain.
Anyway, guys, I got a jet, man. I got to broadcast in a little bit. So thanks for having me on. Keep up the great work, and death to the New World Order.
Death to the New World Order.
New World Order.
All right, I'll see you Friday at noon, Chris.
All right, Harry.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
All right. So there we have it. We have, you know, websites being censored, being pulled down. You know, wouldn't be surprised if that's happening. Is going to happen to a lot of truth radio stations, probably ours, and you know, we'll be up too.
Let's hope not, but it's up there, yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I mean, you know, it's you know, the people just don't understand. I mean, it's so obvious. How could you do this? Why doesn't somebody that's posting that they like hate the Yankees and, you know, and all that, you know, like, why don't you like block them and, you know, or whatever, or hate the Mets, or hate the Red Sox, so that, you know.
Well, think about this, guys, right?
What
was it? It was only a couple of months ago that Bill Gates bought Skype, and most of these radio stations on the internet, we use Skype.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, everything they do is pure calculated. They gave out Skype. They knew what people were going to use it for. You know, they don't let people lose money. The phone companies by Skype lost a lot of money, so I'm sure they were subsidized for it. You know, just in general, just how they wanted to make everything that much more, you know, open. They make, you know, you can have group calls on Skype. You can't do that over a regular phone line. Everything that they put out, you know, pretty much, I would be, you know, would really wonder, you know, who was behind it. Maybe someone was well-intentioned with the making of Skype, but I'm sure that they got that little offer, hey, if you want to make this big, you're going to, you know, sign with me. And then, of course, a couple of years later, no one thinks nothing when it's sold to Google or Gates or, you know, whatever, just like everything else.
Right.
You know, what, 3 or 4 corporations run everything anyway, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I just think we're in deep shit here, man, when it comes to radio stations like ours and others. I
know.
I mean, we don't know how many have been taken down. We know just, you know, Harry Links has been taken down. For all we know, there could be many out there that have been taken out.
Right. Well, you know what? I mean, I guess we'll have to, you know, I think what it's going to be, you know, is going to be after certain, you know, certain topics that we touch on, you know, then we're going to all of a sudden, see a couple go down in one day, and then they'll let us back up,
Well, you just go up in a different way, that's all. You just go up in a different way, or you go at a different angle, Like, I mean, he's broadcasting right now, right? They shut him down, but he's still going to...
For example, I mean, well, that's the perfect thing. That's why we need to have unity in the movement as well.
Yeah, you just keep going.
A guy like that gets shut down, and then he can come on ours.
Exactly.
And talk about it and get the information. That's why we need unity more than ever.
Right.
That's really my plea to the movement, is put our petty stuff aside, and and when it comes to stuff like that, we all need to stand together. I mean, obviously there's going to be some people that don't get along, but for the most part here, we have people, that we're all like-minded. We all have the same goal here. So I mean, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, that's what obviously people are out there to do. Provocateurs also bring up certain things that people argue about in the movement. Of course, they'll bring that up at a key time to start two people arguing again.
Well, again, I think it's the principles, not the people. I think that we need to. I mean, I sort of echo this all the time. It's my personal view on the whole movement is that. I mean, there's good, there's bad, there's better, there's ugly, but in generally, anybody, unless they're disinfo people and they're just obviously provocateurs, if they're shining it towards liberty and they're shining it towards the truth, it doesn't matter if you don't agree with their position
totally.
or that you think that there's like I personally view the information is what's important. People will come to their own understanding.
Well, Howard, that's why with me personally, I've stopped worrying about what people, if someone has a different view than I do on 9/11 or something, as long as we're both in agreement that it didn't happen by, 19, like we said, 19, radical Muslims from Saudi Arabia or wherever the fuck else they came from, supposedly.
Saudi Arabia. No, by the way, who is now Saudi? Listen, Saudi Arabia. Listen to how the playbook's going. So Saudi Arabia. Interestingly enough, Iran supposedly tried to assassinate the the ambassador to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
That's just hilarious.
This is the joke of the night. Yes.
Blame it on Iran, right? Now there's something we could talk about for about an hour.
Saudi American ambassador now.
Yeah,
they want to tie America into it as well.
Yes. They're going for war, man. That's all they do is war, debt, enslavement, breakdown of liberty rights and collectivism through government and corporatism through the big corporations owning everything. The little guy will never be able to own even your local bar. In their view, one day they won't even be that. You'll have this is the the bar corporation.
Well, Howard. Howard, check it out. You ever see Demolition Man?
Of course.
At the end, Taco Bell owns everything, and it's going to be like that. You're going to have one bar. They're all going to be named.
The same name. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Right.
Yeah. It really is going in that direction.
Well, you know what, though? They're only going to give you two choices. So I think you're going to have one bar name.
Yes.
One named Coke, one named Pepsi.
Right, exactly.
Just to give you the illusion of choice.
Yeah, the duopoly. It's really, but they both, but their interested shares are commingled, and there's, it's crazy, man.
Right.
Or their interest, for example, let's say, great example, just to make it like a box. Let's say you got Rothschilds and Rockefellers for argument's sake, right? One owns Pepsi, one owns, or whatever. One owns McDonald's, the other owns Burger King, for argument's sake. Now, but they both buy their meat from the same people. So they both use the same sub-vendors that they both commingle and own, and that's how they get their little spider webs into everything. So even if they don't have controlling shares in the organization, through shadow organizations or through secret partnerships, basically secret silent partnerships.
Exactly.
They coordinate and get these agreements. Think about it. Michael Chernoff was our Homeland Secretary. All of a sudden, the underwear bomber today, of course, he decided to plead guilty. All of a sudden, interesting. Let's see what happens with this whole thing. I mean, all of a sudden he was going to have Haskell. Haskell was supposed to testify for him, and now he's pleading guilty. Sounds fishy to me.